Now, my relationship with my dad. When I was 28 years old, I had just gotten into the insurance and financial services business. And I approached my dad and I said, "Hey, Dad, would you let me help you manage your portfolio?" And here's what he said: "You're not capable of managing my money." Now, none of these other things had happened yet, but his first response was, "You're not capable of managing my money." Now, what I knew is he was working with a stockbroker who was stealing from him and who was doing illegal things, but I wasn't good enough. This was another example of, you're not good enough, you're not worthy. And so I stopped talking to him for 2 years. I was 28 years old. Because of that rift, he made the choice to never meet his only blood grandson, my oldest son, Jason. He made that choice. And then 2 years after Jason was born, he died suddenly of a heart attack. He was 65 years old, and we had not reconciled. And because we hadn't reconciled, he also chose to disinherit me and my sons, my family, which was another fuck you. Another, you're not good enough, you're not worthy. So I carried that with me. I carried that anger towards my dad. And I blamed him for the things that were going on in my life. I blamed him for dying. I blamed him for never having the courage to have the conversation with me. And then about 10 years after he passed, I was kind of in the beginning phases of my personal growth journey. And in the class that I was in at that time, one of the assignments was to go home and write a letter of forgiveness to the person in your life who you've been holding the grudge on the longest. Well, it was pretty easy for me to decide who that was. Remember, he had been dead for 10 years. So I went home and I wrote the letter. And the next day I came to class, and it was a room with about as many people as are in here. So there were several hundred people in the room. And I stood up in front of that group of strangers and I read my letter. And I told him all the things that I couldn't tell him when he was alive. And that day, in that letter, I forgave him. I forgave him for all the pains, all the things that he did, all the things that he didn't do. I just forgave him. And that one conversation, that was one of the most powerful conversations I ever had with my dad. He had been dead for 10 years. But it was that day that I learned that forgiveness is a superpower. Because when you truly forgive, when you love yourself enough to let go of all of the shit that you've been holding on to, the stories about all the things that happened, when you love yourself enough to truly let that go, it changes everything. Forgiveness is a superpower. And just so I make sure you understand this, forgiveness has nothing to do with the other person. It's not for them. It's for you. It's for you to move forward in your life powerfully, happy. See, it goes back to the values. I said step 3 was about your values. What I learned was that I was not living my values as it related to my dad. 2 of my highest values are love, which you may notice I use a lot during this talk. My 2 highest values are, or 2 of my highest values are love and personal responsibility. Carrying that anger against him for 10 years and the 2 years I didn't speak to him, that wasn't loving him. That wasn't loving his memory. And blaming him and acting like a victim for all the things that were going on in my life, that wasn't personal responsibility. But when I started to own those values and truly live by my values and forgave, I let go of the shit. I let go of that unresolved emotional baggage. Now I could begin to start setting outcomes. I could begin to start planning who I wanted to be for the rest of my life based on my values, what was important to me. See, if your values say family first, but your calendar says work first, your frame's out of alignment. And if your values say integrity, but your actions say cut corners because it's the last day of the month, your frame's out of alignment. So where are you out of alignment with your values? Do you even know what your values are? Most people, again, don't take time to go through and determine, what are my values? What's guiding me in life? How do I know when I come to a crossroads, how do I know which way to go? The answer is very simple: your values. But just because you have values doesn't mean it's easy to always live within them.